We have some updates on the Vallow case we wanted to talk about.
Yes, huge updates on the Vallow case. If you did not see our episode covering that or see something else on it, I mean, this case has been pretty, public and publicized.
And just truly crazy. I mean, it's one of those that has just been, we're all sitting around wondering what happened to Tylee and JJ. And sadly, we finally have an answer to that. Yes,
we do. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the case for those of you who have not heard of it and are kind of confused. So back in September, 2 minors went missing, JJ Vallow and his sister Tylee Ryan. They are the children of Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow was married to a man named Charles Vallow, and they have been, I guess, the main parents to Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. Charles is not their father. He was their stepfather, but like a father to them. Tylee was 17. JJ was only 8. Over the summer, Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, killed Charles Vallow, so Lori's ex. And then a few months later, she'd actually been talking to this guy, Chad Daybell, for a while, who's an interesting cat. He believes that the world's going to end. He's like a Mormon extremist.
Yes.
And he is a doomsday guy. Essentially, he's like written a bunch of books. He's an author, and Lori got really into him, and he spends a lot of time in Hawaii, so they spend time together there.
Right. And I was just going to say too that it's important to remember with Chad Daybell is that he's predicting that the end of the world is in July.
Yes, they both think that.
They fully believe that.
And I mean, damn, right? It's been a shitty year. Multiple people have DM'd me this year and said, I'm starting to think Lori's right. Like, it's scary out there right now, and I totally get that. So I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I know. And I saw another thing too. This is kind of off topic, but I saw an article that said the Mayan calendar was read wrong and it wasn't 2012, but in fact it's 2020 that the Mayans predicted. So that to me, I'm like,
is that true though?
I don't know. I don't know that much about it. So I can't say if that's 100% true or not, but it is interesting, especially considering how much shit has happened this year. And when you look back at 2012, there really wasn't that much that happened that year compared to now. So
yeah, I know. But back to the story. These guys are doomsday preppers. Lori Vallow, her husband died over the summer, and then she ended up marrying Chad Daybell in Hawaii after the kids were already missing. And meanwhile, a few months after this, I think it was October, Chad Daybell's wife also died.
Mysteriously.
Yes. And I can't remember if it was October or not. I don't remember the exact timing on that. But yes, she died of mysterious circumstances. She was completely healthy and she ends up dead. Alex Cox, her brother, also ended up dead. There's just so many weird things going on here. But basically, everyone's been wondering, where are the kids? Lori's been in custody for the last few months, awaiting trial because she has still not produced her kids, will not say where they are. And they have not been able to prove that they were alive or anything. And so a lot of people for a while thought, maybe they are in a bunker. We talked about that extensively. The idea that maybe, these guys are doomsday preppers. Maybe they're keeping their kids safe somewhere. And that's why they're being all weird and not telling us. But unfortunately, we all got a huge wake-up call the last few days.
Yeah, this past Wednesday, June 10th, Chad Daybell was actually arrested on charges of destroying evidence due to the police finding 2 children's remains on his property in Idaho.
So obviously a really sad outcome. People really did have hope that maybe they were being kept somewhere. I mean, I was hanging on to that idea, but I knew it was probably unlikely, especially with all the other deaths in the family and just how bizarre they are. But now the process of justice begins. This is a good thing in a way.
Well, what's interesting to me is that they're charging them with concealing remains. Like, why aren't they being charged with homicide?
Well, I think they will be. There's probably more charges that will come.
Yeah.
And they might even have already charged them by the time this episode goes out, actually.
That's true.
I'm not sure.
Based upon finding the remains on Chad Daybell's property, they are initially charging him with concealing the remains.
Because they don't know if he did it or did Lori do it or did someone else do it.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of questions that need answering. There's so much that doesn't make sense here. I mean, we'll hear about this case for a long time, possibly years.
And it has been confirmed that the remains are JJ and Tylee. At least the initial reports are that it's those two, right?
Yes, it has been confirmed. It took a little while. I think it got leaked multiple times. There were news reporters who said that the kids died. The prosecutor, they did like a Zoom call trial for Chad. Not trial, like a...
Yeah, for his hearing.
Yeah, his hearing, his bond hearing, which he's on bond for $1 million.
Yep, same as Lori. So
same as Lori, but he said because the kids died. So that's when the media really picked it up. That okay, it is them. I mean, who else would it be? We pretty much knew it was going to be them. It's just so sad. It's been such a depressing couple of days.
And the poor grandparents.
Oh, I know the Woodcock family. They are such sweet people. I'm heartbroken for them.
And held out hope, like
they really did.
That they wouldn't be. Something terrible wouldn't have happened to their poor grandkids. And
I'm just dreading hearing more of the details, if they do autopsies, and I know it's going to be more bad news that comes out of this case.
Well, one of the details that's coming out from investigators looking at his property is when they went to talk to neighbors, the neighbors are claiming that just days after the two kids went missing back in September, Chad started having huge bonfires on his property. So my guess is that he probably burned the bodies, and what they found is charred remains of the kids, which is just horrible.
It's possible. I have seen a lot of people saying that the bodies actually were found far away from the fire pits. I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, we're still waiting on that information. Yeah. So I don't want to say that for sure, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, what I don't get is why did it take this long for police to go to his property?
I know,
and
right?
Start looking at it. It took that long to get a warrant, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I guess they said that it was too snowy.
Yeah, I guess they said that one of the reasons was because it was really snowy, and so they had to wait for the snow to melt and the ground to kind of like warm up and loosen up a little bit so that they could dig. And I'm like, that is the weirdest excuse I've ever heard. Why? Like, the backyard should be one of the first places you look, and regardless if it's snow, like, I mean, it's Idaho. It's not like it's Antarctica. I mean, how bad could it be? You don't have the tools to do this search. You had to wait till June to do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how far they had to dig to find these remains too. I'm wondering what the actual, details around finding it are. Cause I'm like, you couldn't bring cadaver dogs out there and they couldn't locate the location and just clear that one area. Like I'm wondering the same thing. Like why did it take police so long to?
Yeah, I agree.
And they brought cadaver dogs in this time. That's how they, found the bodies this time. But yeah, I mean, you would think that they would at least send them out and have them smell it out and say, yeah, there's something under here, and then find a way to melt the ice and loosen the ground up. I don't know. It's just
who knows
weird.
What the hell Chad Daybell could have been doing this whole time. And now we're starting to hear reports that he possibly could have been involved in some other crimes, I guess, around the community. He for a long time was a grave digger for a living.
Yeah.
People think that he may have helped bury bodies or had some involvement. I mean, it's all very salacious and speculation right now. No one knows really anything, but I've seen a couple of reports suggesting maybe he's involved.
It wouldn't surprise me for somebody that's so obsessed with the end of the world and death and everything. He definitely seems like his mind is in another place, and this is just all so alarming.
It's really sad. I mean, our hearts truly go out to the families who are missing Tylee and JJ right now. I mean, what a terrible way for this all to end, and just a torturous months leading up to this, wondering what happened and waiting for answers. I mean, I really can't imagine how painful that would be and upsetting.
And it's the worst end that you could think of.
I know.
Like,
the two of them were so close. Tylee loved her brother so much.
It's just so sad.
I know. It
so
really
unnecessary.
Is. It is.
But right now they are working on autopsies for both of them because they got to determine cause of death and all of that. So hopefully once they get those done, we will see, I hope the fullest extent of the law comes down on these two, and they don't let them make any deals or anything like that. These two,
no, they won't.
These two deserve to be in prison for the rest of their life.
America
for sure.
hates these two. They're like the most hated people in the country right now. Some of the most hated.
Mm-hmm.